Hello, hello, and welcome back to Retrieving Sanity with your podcast host, Keegan. And this is your podcast for all mental health, addiction, recovery issues, and topics. And today we have a very special guest. His name is Dr. Stephan Neff, retired anesthetist. Did I say that right? I think so. Functional medicine
Yeah.
practitioner, and the man behind Neff Inspiration. After battling PTSD, addiction, and depression, he's transformed his life and now helps others do the same through a holistic root cause approach to healing. From lab testing to life coaching, yoga to hypnotherapy, Stephen blends science and soul to empower people to not just live longer, but to live better. He's also the author of My Steps to Sobriety, host of a powerful podcast, and someone who knows that even when trauma tries to drown us, healing can teach us to swim. So, Dr. Stephan Neff, how are you doing today?
I'm doing ever so well, Keegan. Hey, thank you so much for having me as a guest on your show. And thank you very much for putting this show out there as a platform for people to connect and people to actually see that there is light in the darkness and that there is hope out there and that it is actually guaranteed that you will lead a different life, a healthier life, a more beautiful life, a fulfilled life with purpose if you just take tiny baby steps,
Ooh.
but consistent baby steps in the right direction every day.
Huh.
And I guess you and I are both examples where we show that this is true, isn't it?
Yeah, that's entirely correct. And I love that because you said that you're guaranteed to feel this way. You're guaranteed to have that kind of progression and everything if you do that kind of work. But that's the thing
Yeah.
too, is that a lot of people stay out of recovery or even trying to get better, like going to therapy and stuff, because they just don't think that it will work. So how do you convince people that it's otherwise? I mean, we have
Ooh.
examples like you and I right here in front of everyone. However, the, just telling a story is like, well, how can they relate to it, you know? How do you get them in your shoes?
By being honest,
Ooh.
vulnerable, and
Mm.
being a leader who actually is not afraid to tell the truth.
Mm.
There is nowadays, especially nowadays, 2025, as we're recording that, there is still so much BS. I need to be careful with BS because BS is, in my words, not bullshit but bad science. So, in this case, I'm actually referring to bullshit. So, bullshit is where we try to live up to some kind of norms of society. In this
Mm.
case, I'm referring to the Instagram and to TikTok and to a certain way how to look and etc.
Mhm.
When essentially we are making life so much more difficult.
Yeah.
Beautiful figures that looked into the power of Instagram. And I use Instagram to grow. I use
Mhm.
Instagram because my social media funnels are giving me inspirational stuff, giving
Yeah.
me tips how to work out and whatever. For many others, unfortunately,
Mhm.
their funnel is a funnel of death because
Ooh.
the figures are quite clear. It's the young girls, 13 to 15,
Mhm.
are 30% more likely to have depression and anxiety, just purely with their integration of Instagram in their daily life. So
Whoa.
it's there are very powerful studies out there. Okay, so you are uh, what you expose yourself to every day. In the past, we said
Mhm.
you are what you eat,
Uh-huh.
and that's true. But if you take food a bit further, as in
Mhm.
also what we feed our mind with, then
Mhm.
exactly that is what is happening. So coming back to your
Ooh.
original question, how can
Uh-huh.
we convince people that there is hope out there? In the first instance, most people who are addicted are not yet ready to hear the truth.
Mhm.
Remember, denial is
Mhm.
virtually 95% of alcoholics out there. If we use alcohol as an example,
Mhm.
95% of people who are drinking too much will say, "Me? No, I don't have a problem. No. Look,
Yeah.
John over there. Look, he's in the gutter. I mean,
Yep.
me? I'm a social drinker. No.
I'm a high functioning
Bullshit.
alcoholic.
So that with denial, look with denial, it's very hard But the teacher appears when the student is ready. So
Ooh.
there comes a time in a man's life or a woman's life where enough is enough. You're either sick and tired of being sick and tired, or the people around you, like law enforcement agencies, or your parents, or your significant others, are sick and tired of you being an ass. And with that, let's say I use straight language. Let's be clear about that.
Okay.
And I strongly, strongly believe, however, that yes, when I say you're an ass, with that I refer to the action that you have taken. And there are good
Ooh.
reasons that you acted the way you did.
Uh-huh.
I'm not talking you are bad. I'm
Yeah.
saying you have done bad things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's a huge, huge, huge difference there. I always say, love the addict, hate the addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is the truth.
Yeah.
So how can we tell people? I think telling people you can't. Can you live a life where you show leadership by integrity, and integrity is being defined as you doing the right thing when no one is watching?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Can you show up in your life for yourself
Mm-hmm.
and become a different person? Can you actually shut up in a discussion and listen with intent? Use your mouth and your ears in the same ratio, then 2 to 1, i.e., and actually listen to others, be there for others. With you not giving your sermon there, but you actually just being there for others. People realize that, people know that. They don't even know why they recognize it, but they recognize that you are a man to be reckoned with in a positive way. You are, wow, he is a really, really great dude. And the only thing you have done is you actually showed up and you have paid attention to others and respected them, their time, their effort, their suffering, and just listened to them. That's leadership. That's that's walking the walk, and I think that is so important. So many people out there, they talk a lot, but then when you look behind the scenes and look at how they behave, how they show up for themselves, oh boy. And that applies to all the sectors in our lives.
Yeah.
So many of us are getting really good in one sector. Oh, look at me! Look at all the accolades, all the alphabet soup behind the name, etc. And then you look at their marriage, and the marriage is on the rocks, and he's getting divorced. Children don't talk to him or her, etc.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. We all, not all, many of us lead lives that have a lot of problems, and we are often blind to our own problems. I think that's where really everything starts.
Yeah.
Become really, really real. And when we do that, when we walk the story and are open and seek connection with others, seek community, turn up on a show like yours, happy to be vulnerable, happy to invite you to ask me questions that maybe 10 years ago would have made me cringe, would have made me very defensive. Nowadays, I'm able to talk about things. With that, I think we can become the leaders that other people say, wow, if this idiot could have done it, then, well, maybe I can do it too.
Oh man, that is absolutely beautiful. I love that. Thank you very much for that insight, and thank you for everything that you've done, because you're a leader and an author and so much more, because you've done this for a while now. And one of the things that I really want to ask a question on, because I just want to follow this rabbit hole train real quick before I forget it, is so you were talking about social media being part of the whole problem, or maybe issue with people's mental health and stuff like that. And then we are what we eat, but there's also the whole you are who your friends are. So that would also kind of go in
Yeah.
line with the social media realm. Your circle is now much larger, and you're now trying to almost emulate what other people are doing, even if it doesn't align with your own purpose, right? So one of my questions, though, is with that, there's a lot of addiction out there. It doesn't have to be with substance abuse, and with that,
Absolutely.
how do the people that don't suffer from those problems stay away from those problems in the first place? If they're surrounded by it, unknowingly.
That's an impossible. That's an impossible. No, Keegan, that's an impossible question. It is absolutely impossible. You know why?
Huh.
I would say the amount of people who are addicted are
Mm-hmm.
in the high 90%.
Hmm.
I would say virtually everyone shows nowadays a degree of addiction.
Oh,
Chemical
wow.
addiction, I would say 1 in 3, one in
Mm-hmm.
4 if you're conservative, 1 in 3, I would say. If you now add in sugar, if you add in the your screen time,
Mm-hmm.
the
You froze on my end, so I don't know if you can still
lives that
see
are
me.
exactly that.
Okay.
I see you very well. So, okay, do you want me to repeat?
I would love to because I was so into it, and then you just froze
Yeah.
again, and I was like, oh no. So the last
Shit. No,
the
no, no. So I'll start again. I start again after you
okay.
stop. I give you 5 seconds to cut, and
Okay.
then I start again.
Okay. So.
No, Keegan, it's a very, very impossible question that you're asking me. The reason is simple. In my opinion, the vast majority of people, I would say high 90%, are addicted.
Mm.
And remember, you said it quite rightly. Addiction is not necessarily a chemical addiction,
Mm-hmm.
if it is going much further.
Mm-hmm.
Chemical addiction, 1 in 3, 1 in 4 people, whilst all the other addictions, the sugar, the screen times,
Mm-hmm.
the sedentary lifestyle, all those
Mm-hmm.
kind of things that you consider normal nowadays, these are
Mm-hmm.
addictions. Because if you go by a tick box approach with
Mm-hmm.
regards to like making a medical diagnosis, we've got a tick box that you need to be ticked. Well, are you sitting on your ass eating Cheerios or whatever, whatever crap you're eating, highly processed food,
Uh-huh.
and watching 6 hours of Netflix, despite the fact that you know that's probably not good for you and is doing you
Mm-hmm.
harm? Well,
Mm-hmm.
yes, tick. That's one way how to describe an addiction. So
Mm.
there you go. I would say if we actually become real
Mm-hmm.
and accept that the typical step count of 2,000 to 3,000 steps for the average American nowadays, that is about the same as if you're smoking a pack a day.
Oh.
As far as health, we nowadays got the health data to show that
Oh.
sedentary is the new smoking. Well, hang on. So that's an addiction. Now
Oh
this
man.
is so you can be very, very clear, and we need to be very clear with our environment, with the people around us, to actually say you're addicted. End
Mm-hmm.
of the story. I don't care that you're 70 and have got a certain lifestyle in the picket fence, or if you're 50, high-flying CEO. I would
Mm-hmm.
say many of them are highly, highly addicted, etc. Some of them are addicted to their work. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
you work 16 hours. Have a look at me. I'm only sleeping 5 hours. 5 hours. That's for sissies. I do 4 hours. And okay, come on, man. What are you running away from? What are your
Yeah.
fears? What are your shadow values? Why are
Mm-hmm.
you doing what you're doing? And by the way, what's the name of your child and when was its birthday? I can't remember. Shit. Okay. Do I have a child? Okay, come on, man. This is not life, okay? You're running away from something. You have
Mm-hmm.
got some very warped core values.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is what so many people see. Why do you think there is such a pandemic, literally, of obesity,
Mm-hmm.
of Alzheimer's, of autoimmune disease, all those kind of things?
Mm.
Because we are living a lifestyle that is highly, highly destructive. And
Ooh.
it's not surprising. We are not dealing with the problems. We're
Mm-hmm.
running away from them. And
Mm.
that is the major issue. There was a
Huh.
beautiful study, if you did, for example, where they asked study participants to go into a room, and this room was completely void of any kind of sensation.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing there. The only thing that was there was a table and a button, a
Uh-huh.
big button. And every time you press the button, you get an electric shock. So people were asked to go into this room for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It's the only thing they had to do. Go in there for 15 minutes and be with yourself for 15 minutes. You can either be with yourself, reflect on your life, meditate, do whatever you want to do. It doesn't matter. 15 minutes with yourself, or if you can't do that, then you can shock yourself. There's only two options really left. And a large majority of the study participants shocked themselves.
Really?
And in those 15 minutes, the record was somewhere in 300 shocks to get yourself a painful stimulus because people couldn't actually be with themselves. Does that not show you so much? And if you go back to rehab, if you go to recovery, one of the most, if you do an inpatient rehab or outpatient, one of the most dreaded rehab parts is feelings. Feelings, for those of you who have no idea, you sit around in a circle, no sunglasses allowed, nothing in your hands, no hat to hide yourself behind. You're just sitting there. And the facilitator just says, "Good morning," and shuts up. And no one says a thing. And you look around. Nothing happens. And it's becoming painful. And finally someone says something. And "You ate all the cookies last night. I hated that." And then someone says, "Oh, this was..." And then someone else says, yeah, I had a breakthrough." And suddenly people come out with feelings, and we can't run away from them. We actually have to experience those feelings. You can't hide, you can't run away with alcohol, you can't do anything. You actually have to sit with yourself and actually experience something.
Yeah.
Bloody hell. In my rehab, that was the hardest thing for absolutely everyone. And this is our society nowadays. We are used to run away. We are used to distract ourselves. You know that maybe you want to have some goals, some passion, some vision. You vaguely remember that there might be something you want to do. And then next thing you look up, it was 6 hours later, and you have done all of Instagram, and you watched Pornhub to the end. Kind of thing, anything to just distract yourself. Okay? I think that's the reality. Okay?
Yeah.
So Keegan, let's if we just accept that we are actually pretty fucked up as a society with that certainly a point towards America, the divided states of America. But take all of Europe, throw that in for good measure. Russia and the Eastern Bloc, oh yeah, throw them in. New Zealand, Australia, hell yeah. I think most countries are in that group of very warped existences.
Yeah.
Yeah, tricky. So everyone should understand that, and I think the more we can highlight that, the better it is.
Yeah.
For those who are still having the rose-colored glasses and say, "Well, me? No, I'm absolutely bloody perfect. But my husband is drinking too much." Well, where to start?
Oh boy.
Okay. So instead of holding that in front of you, I think you can see what has not worked.
Oh.
That's one approach.
Yeah.
To actually just reflect, okay, I've been shouting at him, I've been nagging him, I've been pouring the alcohol down the drain, and the only thing that worked was that we had another row, that he ran out of the house, that he punched a hole in the wall, or punched me. Whatever the response was, it clearly, and the definition of insanity is trying to do the same thing again and again and again, expecting a different outcome. So maybe whatever has happened so far, you've tracked him to church, didn't work. You've done whatever intervention you did, didn't work. So maybe we should start with saying, "Can you tell me more?" Or not, "Can you tell me more?"
But can you tell me why?
If you have got the emotional intelligence yourself. Exactly. That's where I'm going. But for that, you need to have emotional intelligence. And so many of us, they are.
Oh no! No! Ah! Riverside! No! What? No! oh, this is so good. I want more. I want more. I have so many questions. I want to pick his brain. Riverside. He is in New Zealand, so I'm not actually that mad at Riverside. Like, I would have a hard time making a phone call over there, you know? So I don't know. I'm just going to lift this amethyst in protest until he shows back up because I don't know what else to do. I have to entertain y'all. We're 20 minutes in, and like, I think there was someone. No, there's no one anywhere. That's fine. So, okay, I don't have to be silly. I just have to sit here and talk for a little bit because I don't. That was so. Oh, man. Oh. Okay. Game plan. We're just going to sit right here, talk to y'all for a little bit. And if he shows back up, he shows back up. If he doesn't show back up, then we'll see. But I know that he's going to show back up because we already had this issue earlier. Some Riverside. Apparently, Riverside doesn't like doing international calls. There he is. All right. And he's back? Question mark? Not yet. He was in the lobby. Um, let in. There we go. Yay, you're
Testing,
back.
testing.
Yes, yes, yes.
We start again. Where, at which question, where were we? You asked me what? Um,
You were
we were,
just
oh,
going.
the person. The person.
Yeah.
I will restart with, for a person who loves someone. I think I froze after insanity. Did you still
Yep,
hear
yep.
the
That was
definition
right
of
where it was.
insanity?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. I'll start with insanity.
Okay. Yeah.
The
Yep.
the definition of insanity is really that you keep trying the same thing again and again and expecting a different outcome. So we figured out what did not work, whatever intervention you did so far. So maybe we need to now refocus really on why this is happening. Why is your loved one so much trying to escape? And I think this is so important. The why. There is always a reason, and maybe multiple reasons. There is, when I reflect back, what alcohol actually gave me in my life.
Okay.
I came from a story where I was probably not the greatest of all, kids. I didn't have a childhood where they beat the shit out of me, but it certainly was. I was probably a lonely child. I was an only child. Mum was early divorced. No male role models, and she was working hard. We come from on the wrong side of the tracks, so I was alone a lot. So
Yeah.
there was that. And then when I was 13, first girlfriend, wrong place, wrong time, and I was the victim of a gang assault.
Oh,
So
no.
just because they beat the shit out of me, and I ended up pretty damaged physically. They knocked my front teeth out, and as a 13-year-old, they don't give you permanent implants. You get some kind of whatever plastic sort of stuck in there, and
man.
needless to say, for 5 years I did not grin or laugh. That was part PTSD, but it was also part the sheer fact that I was embarrassed about my teeth, which might fall out at any one moment.
Yeah.
So within a month, I started training martial arts,
Ooh.
and because I brought the gang leader behind bars, and he threatened to kill me after 3 years. He got 3 years, so he threatened to kill me the moment he got out.
Yeah.
And in my simple understanding at that time, I thought, yep, this. I'm in a Hollywood film now, Hollywood film of the '80s, so Lethal Weapon, Mel Gibson kind of stuff, Die Hard, Bruce Willis, my man, and I became Rambo. From this little podgy teenager, I turned into a physical specimen, a Viking warrior, and that was an amazing transformation, physically. Mentally, I was in a constant fight and flight. I was constantly highly wired, and it was a brutal time. So 5 years of darkness followed that assault. And then I got to university. I several things happened at the same time. First of
Okay.
all, I had moved towns, and I realized that in the times before the internet, this idiot would never ever find me. Number one. Number
Ooh, yeah.
two, I discovered girls,
Ah.
but now I had permanent fixtures in my teeth, so I actually was no longer as worried that you kiss a girl and the tooth ends up in her mouth, and God, no. And lastly, one day on a Saturday lunchtime in my first year in university, I was sitting with two new friends I made there. I was sitting in a German beer garden. Imagine huge oak, sunshine, summer, and the most beautiful atmosphere, relaxed, everyone having a good time. And I suddenly heard this laughter. And I looked around, where's this laughter coming from? And it had come out of me. This was a sound that I had not heard, had never heard. Laughter. And it was fueled by something magic. That glass of beer. And a German beer is high quality. It's actually very good standard and has a bit more alcohol than the American beers. So I had a liter of that in me on an empty stomach, lunchtime.
Oh boy.
And there I was, full of love, full of laughter, full of joy. The world was my oyster.
Yeah.
And normally when I tell the story, I got mild goosebumps today, because it still gives me that memory, that memory of pure bliss, of pure joy. After 5 years of darkness, 5 years of pain, there was this breakthrough. And that was forever linked with alcohol.
No, man.
And alcohol became a good friend of mine, because I was no longer this inhibited young man.
Yeah.
And whilst I'm not the greatest singer, and whilst I'm certainly not the greatest guitarist, give me 2 free drinks, and I would bring the guitar out, and my friends would bring their guitars out. And it was like moths to a flame. Women came out of the woodworks from everywhere. And
Oh,
because
man.
now I had turned into this physically quite impressive thing, and now with the alcohol, I didn't give a toss. I was me, but I was a funny version of me, something that I had never thought is there, and girls loved that. So I had amazing times. So
Yeah.
alcohol became a really good friend. Also, alcohol initially, alcohol allowed me to really judge my sexuality or control my sexuality. If at the time, for many years, when I had a certain amount of alcohol in my blood, I could control my erection.
Huh,
Literally
wow.
dial up, dial down. Not dial down. I never dialed down. But
No,
I
that'd be
kept it
crazy.
up. So well, exactly. I came to a point where I could say to a girl just for fun, "How long do you want to make love today?"
Oh.
She said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, shall we do an hour? Shall we aim for that?" And she would laugh. And then after an hour, she would say, "Oh, for fuck's sake, just get on with it now." So it was beautiful. That is what alcohol gave me. It gave me superpowers. And we
Oh,
keep forgetting
man.
that. Where
Yeah.
later on, of course, alcohol destroyed a lot of things in my life. But we keep forgetting it gives you so much at that moment in time.
Yeah.
And now, just if you want to exchange the alcohol with sugar, with emotional overeating, why do you think there's such a pandemic of obesity washing over the United States and much of the Western world? That is one of the reasons, because we get this dopamine flow going with the help of sugar, fat, highly processed foods, and a bit of salt thrown in. It's the bliss point. That's how the food industry is calling it. The bliss point. If you just get that ratio right between sugar, fat, and salt, it's irresistible. Okay?
Yeah.
So there's a whole science behind that, and that you get the dopamine flowing. Why do you think that there's so many changes in your social media? There's so many constant new things. Your attention span is getting shorter. Everything is gamified. It's creating massive dopamine releases
Yep.
for which you don't have to work. No
No.
one asks that.
Yep.
Okay? In the past, you actually had to get outside of your comfort zone. You actually had to do some adventurous thing to get joy and get dopamine flowing. Now you can just sit on your ass eat highly processed food and get the dopamine. Hey, it's all for free. And that is the biggest disaster.
Yeah.
But we do it all for a reason, because we are running away from something like that.
Yeah.
So, I took my time with that story. Sorry for taking your precious time, but it is so important for people to realize that the people who drink or showing behaviors that you find not right, that there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
And often enough, the people who drink or use, they don't even know what these reasons are. My PTSD, I did not I didn't diagnose it, and here I am as a doctor. My PTSD was not diagnosed up until maybe 7 years ago,
Whoa.
and I could diagnose PTSD, depression, anxiety in absolutely everyone around me. Someone walks through the door, I could say, okay, I knew exactly where to go with this person. With myself, no, because I'd reframed things. That story of the gang assault, that was my hero story. Look at me, here I am, cool dude, okay, and fuck off. I mean, and it's just, it took a friend of mine who was a special forces medic in his younger years, and he, 7 years ago, he fell apart. PTSD really did a number on him, came out, became a blubbering wreck. And then 2 weeks later, he was back and said, Stephan, everything is going to be all right now. I've seen someone and I'm all right. And I thought, oh shit.
Yeah, no,
Is
that's
he
not
about
good.
to consider taking his life, or what is going on here? And he said, no, I've met this therapist, and she has helped me, and I'm all right. And in my mind, I said, yeah, right. And in my mind, I went through a tick box approach, again, at the diagnosis of PTSD, everything that needs to be ticked.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I went through him, and when I did that, I realized I'm describing myself.
Oh.
Every single
Okay.
box that I ticked for him, I also ticked for me. Despite the fact that I had so cleverly disguised it in this beautiful, abstract, self-made man, look at me kind of hero shit, I realized, oh boy. And 2 weeks later, he was 80-90% better. And I thought, what the hell? How did you do that? And who did you see? So I pressured him, and he said, well, this and this woman. And she was a hypnotherapist. And so I'm a skeptic, so I thought, yeah, bullshit. But I was intrigued. So I went there. And there we go. I mean, 3 sessions later, she had reduced the intensity, the coupling of my physical responses now and the trauma from 30, 40 years ago. She had uncoupled that by 70%. I did no longer get the flashbacks. I did no longer get the nasty physical reactions. Prior to that, I would drive my children to school, and suddenly I would go as if someone literally hit in the solar. Because I remembered something that I said somewhere to a checkout girl, where I'm maybe not so proud of, that I was maybe a bit angry to her, and that would give me such an powerful physical response. And my kids, after a while, I explained it to them. They said, "Oh God, where did you fuck up? Oh, tell us." They always wanted to know the story. Where maybe not so great to hear from your kids. It doesn't really build you up. But I thought, okay, I owe it to them to own up to those things. And it was often very trivial things, but they had such a strong effect on me later on. Now, hypnotherapy in this particular case was, for me, exactly the right thing to reduce it further down. Later on, I wrote a book chapter for someone else, and I called it PTSD is My Superpower. And just writing that book chapter, reflecting on things, that reduced it by another 20%.
Wow.
That left me with 10%, and I kept it on purpose. Because 10%, that is the not the hyper arousal, but the arousal that gives me the situational awareness.
Yeah.
I'm still the man who sits with the back against the wall in a restaurant. I'm still the man who Instead of gazing with romantic longing into your eyes for the next 45 minutes of dinner, I will be the person who's looking at you. But if over there some rapid movement is, someone comes into the door, I will do a quick glance over there. I will know where the exits are,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. Because I
Mm-hmm.
think it's all quite pretty to try to live in this ideal world where everyone is happy and we're all shaking hands and running together into along a beautiful lawn into the sunset. Yeah, about that.
Yeah.
Trauma and drama is still waiting around the corner. Violence will hit you at any one time,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that is all reality. That it's just a way how we can actually become different people.
Yeah.
And I think that story of transformation here that I've just shown you, is something that everyone can achieve.
Mm-hmm.
I think we all come from different starting points, but
Uh-huh.
I can guarantee you there's pain in the past,
Yeah.
and then often it's in our childhood,
Mm-hmm.
adverse childhood experiences, ACEs. Um, they are there, and they are far more common than we like to believe. The
Yeah.
amount of sexual, physical, emotional abuse of children is horrifying when we truly look behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
The figures are horrifying, and it's not for nothing that leads to later on to core beliefs that
Mm-hmm.
don't really help you very much. For
Yeah.
example, adverse attachment styles, the
Mm-hmm.
fear avoidance, or the people pleasing,
Mm-hmm.
the 50%, one in two, have got abnormal attachment patterns
Mm-hmm.
that are often causing huge strife to relationships and
Mm-hmm.
maybe repeatedly wrong partners, quotation mark, or repeatedly relationships breaking down, inability to actually connect, which in its own right
Mm-hmm.
can be. These are hard figures that we've got nowadays. So if you take that all for truth, which it is,
Mm-hmm.
you're then taking that and actually putting that, linking that up with alcohol, with addiction, or any kind of addictive thing you do,
Mm-hmm.
then you understand that most of us are running away from something.
Yeah.
And as long as you don't do the work, then you might even be successful in stopping drinking, but then you're snorting cocaine as if there's no tomorrow. And if once you stop the cocaine, then you make love to everything that has a heartbeat. And once you stop that, you're eating everything that is in the fridge and then raiding a 7-Eleven after hours to
Mm-hmm.
just get to the chocolate. This
Mm-hmm.
is, as long as we are not doing the hard work to deal with what is really the demons with which we are fighting every single night, every single quiet moment, for
Mm-hmm.
which we are trying to run away, for which we are trying to distract ourselves, you will never win. And that's the fate of cross addiction. I think
Yeah.
that's what we see nowadays so much.
Yeah. Oh man. Um, First, I would like to say thank you very much for sharing that story with me and the audience because, like you said, that's how we open the door for other people. And also, I do want to say never, ever, ever apologize for saying your story. I don't care how much time it took up. I don't care any of that because it's important to you, it's important to the audience, and we need to hear that because if we hide the
Yeah.
important parts, if we hide the parts that we think are kind of ugly or just are a little out of context or something, we're going to miss a whole bunch of context and we're not going to find those little dots that connect everything. And your story and everything that you said just has so much in there that is just like, you're right. But like, whenever before we started recording, you were like, oh, we could do like 10 episodes. And I was like, yeah, you're right. We totally could. But whenever you're sitting there
Yeah.
and like it's just an amazing story because you are the doctor that's helping people get through all this. But the crazy thing is that you've been through it yourself. And that's the really like exceptional part because whenever I was in rehab and I had an amazing counselor and I don't know where I would be without her. However, I did tell her during one session that You are an amazing therapist and everything, but there is one key thing that you are missing that I really need, and that's personal experience with addiction. You know, because there's just not that relatability aspect. Because maybe she does have addictions to something, but in a rehab, we're dealing with substance abuse, and we're already hard enough on ourselves that it's kind of like you got to get down on my level. You know, it's kind
But
of weird.
oh, brother Keegan, yeah, that depends on you're touching upon something very, very important. Okay, what is the perfect rehab? In my book, Steps to Sobriety, I have got the chapter. What is the perfect rehab?
Oh.
And there is certainly there are certain things that you can actually put in there.
Uh-huh.
But when I reflect back at my own rehab, unfortunately, this hospital is no longer in existence. But that private hospital was amazing for so many reasons. One of the reasons I only figured out whilst I was in the midst of it, that I realized that absolutely everyone I had dealt with was an addict. Every
Oh.
single person, bar two of the doctors.
Huh.
They might have been, I'm not sure, but the nurses, the yoga teacher, the counselors, everyone had been in my shoes several years beforehand. And they all knew exactly what we were going through. That blew my mind. Because in my mind, prior to rehab, I thought no one could possibly understand what I've gone through.
Yeah.
There is no help out there. There is absolutely, it's impossible that someone could even understand, because look what they did to me. And then I went into my victim story, because
Yeah.
later on, so many other things happened. And that was not the only thing. The gang assault, many other traumas and dramas happened later on.
Yeah.
Big things that shake your life. But I was focused on that. Look what they did. And because they did that, I drink now 2 bottles of vodka. That will show them. And when you actually spell it out like that, you think, what the hell? But it was not clear to me what was
Yeah.
happening there. And
Yeah.
but coming back to the rehab, I think it is such a powerful thing for those of us who have been out there to now come full circle and actually tell our stories and do no longer hide, but actually take that mess of our past, and it has fermented enough now that it gives you enough biofuel to actually really drive your engine forward. So if you look at what has happened to you, make that your story and make that story count. Don't be ashamed of it. If
Yeah.
Having said that, we have done many things that we're probably not proud of.
Yeah.
Okay? So we all can say that. Maybe
Yeah.
some of us stole, some of us were not the greatest sons, daughters, fathers. Many of us really fucked up in our lives. And I think it's important that we accept that as well,
Yeah.
that we take ownership for that. That's step 4 if you do a classic kind of sort of 12-step program, AA or otherwise.
Yep.
Where you actually have to write these long lists of things you did, etc. And that's often the hardest and the longest step, but it's also the most beautiful step when you actually take ownership. One of the things is, for example, the however you want to call that list, where they piss me off list, and you write down, Jim did that, and that's how it made me feel. And then Danielle did this, and that's how it made me feel, etc. You write long lists. And a good counselor then later on takes that list and comes back and says, okay, let's put a 4th column there. What was your role in that story? And that's suddenly you think, actually, yeah, I remember. I said something to Danielle before that, and yeah, exactly. And it's so beautiful. So suddenly someone helps you by asking you questions that you had not considered. And I think that's the power of a coach and of a good counselor. They actually, when it comes to helping you, it's often to ask questions that you had not thought about before. That is where the magic happens. That's where the breakthroughs happen. And I think that's so wonderful. That's where, indeed, working with someone who has been there done that, has vomited on the T-shirt. These are the people who can relate to you, as you said, and that is so powerful. Coming back to the ideal rehab, when I had my intake in that particular rehab, 3 other people were there, 3 girls were there. And I say girls, I mean anything from 40 to 60. And one of the girls, she had been through 20 other rehabs before. She really tested rehabs out, you could say that. And one of the rehabs, for example, she went to, was court mandated to went through. So she spent 9 months in a rehab somewhere in the South Island of New Zealand. And the rehab consisted of her working every day on the fields and picking paprika, picking peppers, picking all kind of things. And on Saturday, they had 2 hours of a group sitting. And the whole thing was called rehab. Now, where I come from, that's called slave labor. But that was called rehab. And that was paid for by the New Zealand government. And
Whoa.
somehow that was expected to create magic change. I guess what? After 9 months, this woman was basically discharged. The court said, okay, you've done enough. The very first thing she did, she went to the airport to get home. And in the airport, she got so plastered that she nearly did not make the flight.
Oh, boy.
Okay. So that was called rehab. Okay. So rehab is not rehab.
Yeah.
Rehab is, there are amazing, amazing rehabs out there. And there's a heap of shit out there. So where just people are making money. Let's be very clear about that. So only because you have been to rehab and you, quotation mark, failed, that means not much.
No.
Maybe you were not right. You were not ready. Maybe the rehab was shit. Maybe it was a rehab that was purely based on religious values, and you are an atheist or a humanist and don't believe in God. So many. I mean, I did my rehab was 12-step, not necessarily AA, but it was a 12-step program.
Yeah.
And guess what? There's that word God in there, and some of us, including myself, maybe 3 out of 12 people had trouble with that.
Yeah.
And
for
then
sure.
we understood, however, we learned that God can also mean a group of orderly drunks
Yeah.
or a group of druggies or whatever it is. God doesn't need to be this dude or dudess there somewhere on a cloud. It means just that there's a bigger thing out there, that the power of community, the power of us coming together and being open and vulnerable and show true leadership. And with that, we can start dealing with the demons that are causing you to try to escape your reality and learn new techniques and build a resilience and accept the waves of neurochemicals for what they are. Your cravings is nothing but a wave of neurochemicals. And imagine you're in the surf, you're on the sea, and there is a wave coming. And you can look at this wave and can say, I hate you, wave. Stay away. Stay away. I tell you, don't you come close. I hate you. Do you think the wave cares? The
No.
wave just comes and pounds you.
Yep.
And exactly, it does. Now, it's your choice what to do. You can get really angry with that wave. Or you can say, okay, cool. I learned to surf. Or I dive underneath the wave and experience it. Or I just throw myself into the wave and let the wave, the power of the wave tumble my body. And I'm fully present and see it there. These are all options what you can do with a wave. It's the same with a neurochemical wave. Now, you can also, when you look at, so that's how to deal with a craving, to actually understand what it is. It's just a wave of neurochemicals washing over you. And within 5 minutes, 10 minutes,
It's gone.
Gone.
Yep.
Past you. The other thing is to say, okay, hang on. Did I actually cause a storm somewhere where that wave was actually quite likely to occur?
Ooh.
And for those of you out there who are thinking, okay, yeah, the guy actually knows what he's talking about, I want you to remember the word halt. H-A-L-T, halt. In German actually means halt. We do a bit of and clack our heels when we do it. The halt means you stop. And exactly. Halt also means hungry, angry, lonely, tired. isn't it? And in certainly early recovery, if I felt after a long day that I was hungry, literally hungry for food, but maybe also thirsty, I hadn't drunken enough. I was angry because maybe things didn't go right, and I was driving home, and I'm a passionate driver, so anyone who doesn't use his indicator or anyone who just slows down because they can, it triggers me. So anger in car go hand in hand. So hungry, angry, lonely. Well, yeah, it's easy. Tired, and that's I often work long hours. So give me three out of them. Oh bloody hell! I can taste the Chardonnay. I see this beautiful glass, crystal glass with condensation running down and this amber liquid of joy in there. Oh boy. But I have created that. Again, I did not look after myself.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important. And that's where essentially, if you go further down the line, it's all quite pretty to think about all the things that happen in your mind, and you think about you learn to think about neurochemicals. But in the classic Western medicine kind of setting, that means, okay, which tablets do you need? Do you need Prozac? Do you need paroxetine? Whatever it is that sort of things people are trying to throw at you.
Yeah.
Even in the addiction world, should you have naltrexone? Should you have that?
Yeah.
Instead of asking, okay, forget the fucking pill. Actually say, what is really happening here?
Yeah.
Okay, you haven't slept well. Why? You haven't drunken any fluid. You're highly caffeinated. You've eaten only shit. Okay, that's so. Can we maybe do different things? Give an example there. In a Finnish prison, they did a study where they looked at the nutrition, which typically is state-sponsored shit, and then they actually changed the nutrition. And basically put more wholesome food in there, etc., and basically just made that the norm. After a week, 2 weeks, their violent incident rate dropped by 30%. There was 20, 30 years ago, Jamie Oliver did the food revolution. Jamie Oliver, a British chef, and he started with one school and worked with the school lady, the dinner lady. Whole story was filmed, and they changed the school, and there was huge uproar that they were no longer hamburgers and sizzlers and whatever food was there, but there was actually more wholesome food there. And initially big uproar, and then at some stage the kids were absolutely fine with it. And then to see the flow-on effects, far less non-attendance. The school nurse attendances for asthma, etc., dropped to virtually zero. It was those kind of things where we had to say, "Wow, food in done right is such an amazing thing." And I think that is the important bit for us too in addiction. We have ravaged our body for such a long time.
Yeah.
No one eats healthy after a bottle of vodka. Come on, don't be silly. And that vodka in its own right has hammered your liver, has destroyed your gut, has destroyed so much in you. So you're running on fumes as far as micronutrients and vitamins are concerned. You have fucked up your gut microbiome. You have done so much damage to every single cell in your body. And now you suddenly want happiness and bliss and spiritual identity? Oh, get lost. Get lost. No. What you need to do is you need to start eating, and you need to start looking after yourself. And so many people don't do that. That's as a functional medicine doctor. Very much I offer. So who am I? I'm a functional medicine doctor. So one foot is firmly in the kind of in the medical field. The other one is I've become a coach and mentor. So I've got those qualifications, those skills, and I combine both to actually deliver programs. And as part of that, we're looking into your functional side on the inside. So we do certain functional medicine testing that can show me what's the damage. And we are not going into a disease model, although you would probably scare pretty high on your liver function tests.
Yeah.
One of the always cool things, how alcoholics meet in rehab, first day in rehab. Hey, what's your GGT? What's your gamma GT? 900? Oh, that's nothing. Hey, I've got 1500.
Oh, jeez.
Okay. The other cool thing is, hey, what was the coolest place where you hit your vodka?
Oh.
Where did you? Oh, that one. Oh, that's a good story. See, it's this pissing contest amongst alcoholics there that we often do when we actually try to meet. Given all that, there is in the disease model, even your GP can show you your liver is on the fritz, brother. Your liver is toast.
Yeah.
But then again, it comes to a point where the disease model no longer detects too much. They say, well, actually, your liver function has come back to normal.
Oh.
You are cured. And no, that's
Ish.
bullshit.
No.
Because
Yeah, no.
if I now, from a functional medicine doctor point of view, come and look at you, you have got, I mean, most of things don't work. They work 80%, 70%, 50%. Your thyroid function is all over the show. As a man, your hormones are all over the show. Yeah, as I said, as a man, because we look at testosterone, we look at all kind of other thyroid hormones, etc., all over the show. And you're supposed to live this beautiful life with a fullness there. Rubbish. You can't do that. But let me switch off on the lights for you. Let me actually guide you and say, okay, you are low in vitamin D, low in magnesium. There's certain things that I would just do a very intensive program with you after you have stopped drinking. And it should just replenish the stores. Doesn't take a brain surgeon to do that. It's just you have completely wrecked your body. So
Yeah.
let's build your body back up. Let's actually create a gut lining that actually keeps the shit in, or out, shall I say, in the gut lumen, inside the gut, not streaming through your bloodstream.
Yeah.
Let's actually create habits that clean up your body and restore the body to
Okay.
a functional state.
Yeah.
And that is where the power is. That's where we need to do. And once you do that, you suddenly realize cravings, shit. When was the last craving I had? Huh, it's gone.
Yep.
And surprise, surprise. Because I've actually given your body what it needs. And it's often magnesium, selenium, zinc, vitamin D. These are sort of the low-hanging fruit, and vitamin B complex for crying out loud, especially after alcohol. That's beautiful. But we need to deal, on the one hand, with your drive. Why are you drinking? What are the demons? So that's the kind of rehab, counseling thing. Then we need to do the mentoring and the functional medicine, where we look at, okay, what's really happening? Are you at with your physical health and with your wellness? So we want to limit and reduce disease as much as possible. And then we want to look within a wellness spectrum, which has very different blood values. And want to see what is the inflammation going. What kind of food are you eating? And maybe if we were to introduce maybe a more keto style diet or a more this kind of diet, depending on you, suddenly you begin to transform. I think you actually also developing, with the help of a coach, of a health coach, life coach, develop a holistic, better understanding of your body. Suddenly you realize that what you have eaten was highly processed rubbish, where probably the cardboard around the food had more nutritional value than actually what you put in your body. Once you actually begin to realize that, then things start to change.
Oh, wow.
Next thing, you begin to realize, with the help of the right people, that the amount of protein and the amount of fiber that you took in was absolute rubbish. And once we start increasing those levels, then suddenly miracles happen.
Oh,
Did you know happiness is so linked with serotonin? Now, serotonin, how much serotonin do you think is created where in the body? Any idea? Where do you think the serotonin comes from?
Pineal gland. In the body?
Yeah, close. That's melatonin. That's you're talking brain. You're talking brain. 95% of serotonin is made in your gut. Okay?
Whoa.
Now, this is the same gut that you have tried to destroy with the alcohol. 50% of the dopamine, of the love hormone, is made in your gut.
Oh, wow.
So if I just give you this data, you realize, oh shit, if I actually start eating better, you suddenly do deal with the demons. You take the fire, the you take the you reduce the demons literally. You
Yeah.
slash them
Huh.
to a much smaller size
Yeah. Something
that
much more
are no
manageable.
longer as scary, because you don't need the 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 fluoxetine. It's not a fluoxetine deficiency or Prozac deficiency or whatever deficiency. And whilst I'm not speaking against psychiatric drugs, there may very well be a reason that you need them. You, it's not the answer for everything.
Yeah.
Let's actually start with a healthy nutrition, with cleaning up your lifestyle. With that, I mean also you starting to begin to use your body in more healthier ways. We need to build up muscle.
Yeah.
Muscle is such an important thing. Increasing muscle size, especially the large muscles. They're increasing the links now that we see in studies, which not only show that with a healthy muscle mass, your health span is better. How long are you healthy in your life? Your lifespan is longer. But also that there are very strong links with regards to your mental health.
Wow.
So there seems to be something a lot to do with the leg muscles in its own right. But muscles, we sort of think of one thing. That's my thigh, and I just only look at the thigh, and this is my calf, and I only look at the calf. That's bullshit. They're all
Yep.
linked.
Yes, sir.
There is, for example, there are certain chains that many people do not realize that calves, for example, they are often called the second heart. And there is an issue. There's a saying: issues lie in the tissues.
Yep.
So if we look at how actually function is happening within your body, the diaphragm, your breathing muscle, the psoas muscle, which is a opening muscle that runs deep inside your tummy and towards the thigh, and your calves, they are
Yeah.
all very much linked. So this is one chain that goes from top to bottom, and we can very much affect the chain. So many people, me included, I think one of my stress responses is still having either pain in my calves, having very tight calves. I'm touching them now; they're like rocks, because I've had quite a stress this week. I've done a lot of workouts, fair call, but I certainly did not look after them. So right now, I actually feel it, and by me just doing some gentle neurofascial massage techniques, right now my muscle is just calming down, very much calming down. Now I could also do that differently. I could use my diaphragm to actually start from there, because my diaphragm is linked with my psoas, is linked with my calf. So for me, actually doing either neurofascial work down there, or maybe doing some breath work, learning how to breathe in such a way that I can switch my state from fight or flight to
Yeah.
a more rejuvenate, restorate, heal kind of style, the parasympathetic thing.
Yeah.
These are all incredibly powerful techniques.
Uh-huh.
And in their own right, oh yeah, breathing, yeah, I heard about it, yeah, I should do that. No one does.
Yep.
Oh yeah, massage, yeah, I guess physical exercise, yeah, oh yeah, I should go to the gym. No one ever does.
Yeah.
If you actually start small and add 5 minutes of meditation, if you start learning how to breathe, how to just do diaphragmatic breathing, taking a nice, calm, deep breath, relaxing everything, and instead of breathing at the very top of your chest, you actually allow everything to sink down. And you take a breath in, your tummy pushes out. You take a breath out, your tummy comes back in. It's diaphragmatic breathing, it's called, and it's sort of tummy breathing, if you want to call it like that. That's where the magic happens. That's where you can reset the tone within your body. And some of us can get really good. I mean, I can do that within one breath if I have to. I can reset myself. But I, instead of doing the kind of shock reset, I'll do it maybe over 10 seconds. And there's certain routine. Much as you see maybe top tennis players, they bounce their ball 2 frames, 3 times, They have their water bottles in exactly the right place. It's their routine. It's their resetting themselves
Yep.
for that moment of volleying that ball across.
Yep.
That's what top tennis players do. That's what so many other sportsmen do. You
Mm-hmm.
can do exactly the same thing. You can teach your body how to reset yourself, and very effectively, very quickly.
Okay.
So these are all incredibly powerful tools. So
Uh-huh.
here you were initially like this cork on the ocean. The waves came pounding you. You were angry about them. And now I've taught you how to recognize them,
Mm-hmm.
maybe the reasons that causes them,
Mm-hmm.
halt, maybe an acceptance that actually you can't do much about it, but you've got the power of choice, how to respond to that. We've talked
Mm-hmm.
about that. We are
Yeah.
now talking about techniques, how to reduce these waves actually coming up and not just halt, but actually doing a root cause analysis and say, well,
Mm-hmm.
actually, you've eaten a lot of shit. Let's
Yeah.
actually take some wholesome food in there
Mm-hmm.
and maybe make it a point for you spending time intentionally in the kitchen.
Mm.
So now you're no longer a victim, but you're actually taking action. You're
Yeah.
taking back control
Mm-hmm.
because you're actually literally throwing out the Tim Tams into the rubbish.
Mm-hmm.
And you're saying, okay, what else? I love my chocolate. Cool. I go 80% cocoa, 90%
Yeah.
cocoa. Does taste different, and you do no longer get the artificial sugar high.
Mm-hmm.
But the cocoa in its own right, dark
Mm-hmm.
chocolate, has lots of health benefits. Here you
Yep.
go. So you're still having a chocolate, but you're retraining your taste buds.
Yeah.
So you're taking control. You
Mm.
are becoming this new being. You're no longer
Mm-hmm.
the bearded lady in the circus. You're the ringmaster. You control
Mm.
what is going on.
Mm.
And so you've started with nutrition. Then you think, hydration. How much water do I actually drink? And maybe look at the kind of water that you drink. And
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of things that where we might in the functional medicine field say, well, okay, what you're drinking there, maybe the V or the Monster energy
Mm-hmm.
drink. Yeah, about that. Maybe not the greatest thing. Maybe just how about water, provided
Yeah.
it's safe to do so. And if it's not
Mm-hmm.
safe to do so, how can we make it safe? Okay, what are the risks there? What is it fluoridated? Is that good for you? Yes or no?
Mm-hmm.
Microplastics. Do you actually have filters in your water system? Do you live in an area where you constantly get glyphosate or kind of any other sprays, chemical sprays that are intoxicating you? That's all
Mm-hmm.
functional medicine, but we
Mm.
look at those kind of things.
Yeah.
So we've reduced the kind of damage that is being done to you. But
Mm-hmm.
hydrate. Beautiful study out there where they looked in one study at teenagers and the other study at people working in a large, I think, an insurance system. And they put in a 6-month program in which
Mm-hmm.
they taught people lifestyle choices. And one of them was how to sleep better. One of them was how to regularly hydrate,
Mm-hmm.
and there was some breathing and some bit of meditation here and there. Not a
Mm-hmm.
single tablet changed per session, so this was not a medical kind of treatment, but it was simply them teaching different styles of
Mm.
living. And then after a year, they sort of, or after half a year, they started looking at the outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
And in the insurance industry, they found that people with headaches or a disease of headaches or chronic headaches
Mm-hmm.
compared with those people who had not partaken in the thing. And then
Oh
they
wow.
looked at a few months down the line of all the things that they had been taught and to do. What
Mm-hmm.
really stuck with them, what people did was maintain hydration,
Mm-hmm.
maintain or try to protect their sleep. These
Mm-hmm.
were the most easiest and most effective things to continue.
Mm.
And that the
Okay.
same study or a similar study was done with teenagers with headaches and similar outcome. Basically,
wow.
hydration is such an
Mm.
underrated kind of thing. So
Yeah.
for us actually making a point of drinking, and it's
Mm-hmm.
something you need to train yourself because
Yeah.
the older we get, and it starts probably at age 30,
Mm-hmm.
where you lose your thirst.
Hmm.
You literally have no longer thirst. You feel something, and you think it's hunger. So many people actually, oh God, I'm hungry again, and eat another donut or something like that.
Hmm.
Now, first of all, that had probably to do with blood sugar swings. The
Mm-hmm.
sugar went way up. Your insulin kicked in. You crashed down, and in the crash down, oh my God, I need sugar. I need sugar. What you
Mm-hmm.
really need is no donut and maybe an apple instead,
Yeah.
and actually some water to drink. And
Yeah.
suddenly those blood sugar spikes even out. But with the water, you actually get a far better way of life.
Hmm.
So here we
Okay.
are. We've changed nutrition. We have
Mm-hmm.
changed hydration.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a whole course on how to sleep better, how to be fiercely protective of your sleep. These
Mm-hmm.
are simple things. If you now
Yeah.
add in physical activity, and
Mm-hmm.
remember, I just said activity, not necessarily exercise. If you just become more aware of the many ways how we can joyfully add in activity,
Mm-hmm.
and we just make it a new habit.
Yeah.
After finishing our beautiful talk, I will probably go over there and switch on the kettle and make myself another coffee. Well, whilst the kettle is boiling, I will do probably 15 body weight squats. We'll
Mm-hmm.
probably do 15 push-ups, etc. Just
Uh-huh.
because I can.
Yeah.
There's no other reason.
Mm-hmm.
I just give me that activity snack.
Yeah.
I might later on, I've got some stairs just outside my apartment here. I might
Mm-hmm.
just go 10 times up and down the stairs. Why?
Oh.
Because I can.
Yeah.
That's 5 minutes, but
Mm-hmm.
I've added in more steps. I've
Mm-hmm.
added in actually some squats. I'm
Mm-hmm.
training my muscles. I'm using my muscles to
Mm-hmm.
propel me through a three-dimensional place.
Yeah.
That's what we were designed to do.
Yep.
We were not designed to sit on the couch to play Xbox kind of games.
No, sir.
So, by us not doing the 1st of January bullshit, I changed my life. No.
Uh, um.
Sorry, do you hear me? You're still there?
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. It
Yeah.
just says
Because my recording
recording.
stopped due to low browser storage.
I've yeah.
How to free up space.
Yeah. So
Bear
you
with me.
would
Bear with. Allow this
yes.
time. We will restart there. Actual recording. Bear with me. Troubleshooting. Low storage space. Let me quickly clear some storage space for you. Oh god, today we are challenged, man. And sorry, you have to do quite a bit of cutting and pasting here. How can I? Okay, I know how to. That just will take me less than 30 seconds.
Okay. Let's see. I think you have to leave the studio, clear it, and then come back,
Okay.
according
So
to
I'm
the
just
prompt that
getting
I
rid
got.
of files.
Yeah.
Okay.
You should just be able to clear your cache and be fine. Holy cow! Hang on. Oh, I gotta stretch. Oh. Oh. Well, I mean, there is no audience today, so I mean that's the good part about these. Like, no audience, but it is on just YouTube, so someone can come back in the past and be like, oh, to come back in the future and look at the past and be like, what did he do while he was gone? I was doing this, just stretching, just trying to not vape or anything on camera. Stretch my back a little, but once he gets in, we've got to let him know. Right, almost to the game. So uh, vitals and values is what it is called. All right. If he gets back in, I am running out of spoons. I am running out of spoons. I normally just do one recording in the day. I've had two. There he is. I said let in. Let in. Let in. Hello. Why isn't it letting him in? I hit the green button down here. I'm hitting let in over here, and it's not letting him in. Look, there, and now he's gone. Okay. So we've learned a lot so far, and hopefully he can make it back into the studio because we have a game called Vitals and Values for him, and we're going to make it quick fire as best as we can because we are way over our recording limit. So, yeah, uh, I I thought he knew we record for a little over an hour, not an hour and 20 minutes. Oh, and I have to cut it down by at least that much. Uh, well, looks like Jordy is back home. Great. I'm still in the middle of recording. Right. Okay. He's still recording, so hang on. Hey there, you're back.
Hey, my man. Yeah, having said that, I'm seriously wondering. Uh, uh, uh,
Are you on Wi-Fi on the laptop?
Still, it's trying to upload now, so
Yeah.
clearly my data is still somewhere there.
Yeah.
I'm on a
So
laptop, and my Wi-Fi is yeah, it's okay. Okay, right. I'm getting pissed off with Riverside, and I'm so upset for you because
that's
here
okay.
you are, you're getting all these snippets of information, and it's going to be a shitload of work to actually cut and paste.
It's
Um,
all good.
do you
That's
want
what.
to repeat this interview? And
Um.
you're happy? You're happy, bro?
Yeah, I'm happy with it. I just wanted to see if you wanted to play our new game show segment real quick, and then see about scheduling up another time for another recording.
Absolutely,
Sweet.
absolutely, within all means. So the I think we certainly have. Okay, you're right. We do your game show
Mm-hmm.
segment. I like that.
Okay.
I'm not sure what kind of data you will get coming through with those multiple repetitions.
Mm.
Um, and I would be delighted to start that again.
Okay.
I'm not sure what it is, why we are having these issues here. I know it's a damn pain in the ass for you. I've been on your side so many times,
Mm-hmm.
and to actually have things like that, my God. May I just
Uh.
quickly say,
Uh-huh.
you're amazing. You're
Oh.
amazing. You're not angry. You're actually cool as a cucumber. You accepted that sometimes internet and things don't work out.
Mm-hmm.
I take my hat off to you.
Oh.
Okay. I feel myself slowly getting angry because here I am trying to give you the best experience, only to be jeopardized and torpedoed left, right, and center.
Oh.
So I agree with you. Hey, is it okay if we use WhatsApp? Because I think Podmatch is a little bit cumbersome to send messages back and forth. Do you want to give me your phone number so we can? Do you use
Uh.
WhatsApp? Is that
I
something you do?
I don't use WhatsApp. But I can get it for
Okay, no,
you.
that's fine. Is
Uh.
texting or messenger? What works best for you to communicate?
Email, messenger, it really just depends. You can find me almost anywhere. I have to check all my handles and stuff throughout most of the day. So, um, let's see. Why don't I just have you, is email okay? Or is WhatsApp better?
Yeah, email is absolutely fine.
Okay. So,
WhatsApp is just a nice way of communicating.
okay.
And the reason I say that is I'm increasingly trying to go away from most other things. If I want a quick response or want to collaborate with someone,
Mm-hmm.
I find that things like WhatsApp is quite nice. It's
Okay.
secure, it's encrypted. I
Uh-huh.
like that aspect. The other thing is that I, like you, we are working on bloody Instagram, we're working on this, on that,
Mm-hmm.
and it's actually really, there's such a likelihood that I miss important messages. So
Mm.
I'm trying to actually streamline things in the future.
Yeah.
I mean, right
Okay.
now it's, for example, quite important. Your
Yeah.
recording stopped due to low browser storage,
Again?
despite the fact that I've actually cleared out gigabytes of data now
Oh
for you.
no.
So that's intriguing. I
Yeah.
know it is choose
Um.
sites to clear.
Hang on. Yeah. I'm looking at your thing now, and it's weird because like some you're coming in a little bit clearer, and then you're not sometimes, but it doesn't have that little red dot
This is
on saying that it's recording. Here, let me exit out of
I
the.
think I think what we have got here, what we've got also is a long weekend here,
Mm-hmm.
and I think there is only a certain bandwidth here in New Zealand, literally,
Ooh.
in this town where I am.
Oh.
I don't think it's the best internet ever.
Okay.
So I think this might just be everyone and his dog is watching YouTube. Everyone is playing on a game. Everyone is out there. I
Yeah.
think what we might actually be experiencing here.
Okay.
Otherwise, I can't explain that because during the week I would record a show for me and without any
Mm.
problems, not even
Yeah.
a little bit of anything.
Yeah.
And this is probably one of the worst connections I've had for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
So I can only apologize for New Zealand. It's not necessarily my fault or your fault. So we are
No
not
worries.
recording now at the moment. So whatever you record now, you will not get my side.
Yep.
So even if you do that the show